Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2013 NMIT graduation ceremony for students who have completed their qualifications in 2012. This graduation ceremony is one of the most important events of the Institute calendar. For those students receiving their diplomas, advanced diplomas, associate degrees and bachelor degrees, this evening formally recognises their academic achievements and success. While tonight's event belongs to the students, a range of people have been invited to celebrate this occasion, including members of the NMIT board, our sponsor Joe Serato for the Outstanding Student of the Year from Alliance Catering, our guest speaker Brad Smith, the Institute staff and family and friends of all of the graduates. As NMIT delivers courses offshore, tonight's program lists 25 educational partnerships across Asia where students have graduated over the last year. For friends, family and colleagues and students who could not attend tonight, this ceremony is being streamed live via the internet. I'm informed there's 21 countries currently online. As the graduates come up and receive their awards, if they want to smile at the camera, which is located in the middle down at the back, please feel free to do so. I'd like to extend my congratulations to all the students and all those who gave support to them and encouragement during their studies. I invite all those attending, all those graduating tonight, to keep in touch with NMIT by joining and participating in our alumni program. Moving to our guest speaker this evening, it's Brad Smith. Brad is the founder and designer behind Brup Motorcycles, a multi-million-dollar Australian small business. Just to repeat that name, it is Brup, as in Brup, Brup. It's the noise a motocross bike makes when revved hard. And Brad, having spoken to him over dinner tonight, has recently personally come forth in the World Championship and had his bike win the World Championship in the US, so congratulations. Brad's a wonderful example of a self-starter and innovator, two qualities that we foster in our teaching programs at NMIT. Born in Launceston, Tasmania, Brad acknowledged that he was neither necessarily popular or academically successful at school, but despite this, Brad has found success, starting his own company at 16 years of age. To raise funds to import his first shipment of superlight bikes from China, Brad worked numerous jobs, undertook various small entrepreneurial activities, including manufacturing hacky sacks, selling movie posters on eBay, mowing lawns for the elderly, and dabbling in US stock market options. In 2008, Brad launched his first Brup store in an innovative retail concept which is like a surf shop for motorbikes. Brup now has 3 stores in Tasmania, 1 in Victoria, and 16 specialist dealerships through other motorcycle agents throughout Australia. He's also introducing a franchise deal into the United States. Brad is a 2-time Australian Young Entrepreneur of the Year and runner-up in the International Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. Brad's vision is to educate people on how to get their adrenaline rush from action sport and passion as their passion rather than from drugs, violence and alcohol. We're delighted to have Brad as our guest speaker tonight to deliver the 2013 graduation address. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brad Smith.
Well, thank you guys for having me, and congratulations to everyone who's graduated. You know, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be a part of a special night for you guys, a pivotal night, graduation. And I'm honoured that you've invited me to come along and share my journey, my story, and my perspective on how we grow. I'm going to share the skills, the tools, and the story on how I took a vision that I had as a young person and grew that into a backyard business, and then turned that backyard business and grew it into an award-winning and a multi-million-dollar company that Brup is today. You don't say that to impress you. I'm not here to impress anyone, but I am here to impress upon you, and that is that when passion and persistence meet vision and direction, what can happen? And we're here to talk about growth, and I think that's the reason why anyone would enrol in a course like you have. And that's why I come to congratulate you guys, because education is the foundation of growth, in my opinion. The challenge with growth is that it has no finish line. You know, growth happens whether we like it or not. You know, the trees keep growing, the kids grow taller, we grow older. Growth happens, whether we like it or not, but my question and my obsession has been, how do we take control of growth? How do we create deliberate growth? How do we play our game at a higher level and grow into the people that we want to become? You know, I think that growth is a science. Growth is a formula. It doesn't matter if you want to be a hairdresser. It doesn't matter if you want to be a builder, a lawyer, a mechanic. It doesn't matter what you want to grow into, the person you want to become. Growth is a science, and there are a certain amount of fundamental elements that need to happen for you to grow into that person. And I'm going to share my perspective on those. You know, I came from a great family. I didn't grow up in a rich family. I had no head start. But I came from a great family. My mum taught my sister and I the 3 R's. Respect, respect, and respect. We respect people, we respect things, and we respect ourselves. But probably a great thing, and probably my favourite thing that Mum instilled in us as young people is that whatever we do with passion. We give it everything we've got. We do it with passion. You know, growing up, I've been obsessed with motorcycles. From, 3 and 4 years old, before I could even ride a BMX, I was obsessed with the sport of motocross. You know, I remember my dad and his mates would meet at our place on a Sunday, and they'd take their bikes and him and his mates, they'd load them up on their trailers and utes, and they'd go off on a journey and an adventure for the day. They'd come back covered in mud, and I couldn't wait to be a part of the action, because Dad and his mates would share stories about what a great day they'd had. And Dad said as a 4-year-old, I'd nag him saying, when can I learn to ride a dirt bike? When can I learn to ride a dirt bike? And Dad said, you can learn to ride a dirt bike as soon as you've mastered the BMX. And my goal for the year became to master the BMX. In our family, goal setting is a huge part of what we did. It's culture in our family. Since as soon as we could write, our mum had us writing down our vision and documenting our goals. Every New Year's Day, we'd sit down as a family and we would review our goals from the year past. We'd set our vision and our goals for the year ahead. Now, I finally mastered the BMX when I got my BMX ramp, put it at the bottom of a hill, and then laid down 6 cousins. And luckily no cousins were hurt. And I learned to ride a motocross bike, a dirt bike, and that became my obsession. But as I got older and better, I started to see that motocross created a huge amount of financial pressure on my mum and dad. Like I said, I didn't come from a rich family. My parents busted their guts so my sister and I could live a great life. And one year, Mum came to my sister and I and my dad and we said, we're going to go on a family holiday. We're going to load up our little white van. We're going to travel from Launceston, where I grew up, take the Spirit of Tasmania. We're going to drive up to Sydney on a family holiday. And while we're there, the Australian junior motocross titles are going to be held. So you can imagine how excited my sister and I were. We packed up the van, my bike, all that stuff, and we went on a journey. As we got to Sydney, where the Australian junior titles were held, there's 800 riders, 800 kids who ride at this race. And I was so aware of how hard my parents had worked just so we could make it to the event, just so we could get there. And as we roll in our little white van, we park in the pits next to a kid who had a semi-truck. A kid who had 6 dirt bikes. He had a mechanic, a chef, a nutritionist. And this kid's dad even had a helicopter in the paddock next door. It's like we parked next to Richie Rich. As I'm walking through the pits and drooling over all the stuff that these people have, I asked my mum, how the hell do these people have what they have? Because I knew that my parents couldn't physically work an extra hour in the week, yet we'd only just made it to the event. And you know what? My parents couldn't physically work any harder for us to get there. And Richie Rich and his family materially seemed to have it all and not be under anywhere near the financial pressure that we were. Mum taught me a lesson that has stuck with me to this day. Mum said, Brad, these people don't have what they have because they worked harder than us. These people have what they have because they worked smarter than us. And I thought, damn Mum, that is a good one. And that really became the framework of my life. I wanted to be in a position to make a difference. I thought if I'm going to do that, I need to work harder at being smarter. I wanted to be in a position to make a difference, started with my family, and I wanted to turn motocross into my profession, into my pathway. And I thought if I'm going to do that, I need to prepare for an opportunity. So when an opportunity presents itself, I can pounce. I thought I need to do 2 things to prepare. First, I've got to get smart. I've got to learn what I need to do to pounce on that opportunity when it comes. I've got to get educated. I believe that education is preparation. Education is the foundation of growth. And that's why I'm excited to be here and be a part of a special night for you guys. You guys have got educated, you've graduated. You're prepared to not only create opportunity, but to pounce on that opportunity. Now, the second thing I thought I needed to do was save up some money. So when that opportunity came, I could pounce on it. I learned that sometimes opportunity takes time to present itself. I worked every weekend, every night after school, every school holidays, any chance I could to get myself in a position to not only save some money, but learn and get educated to prepare for that opportunity for 4 years. And that opportunity came to me 4 years after I started with the vision, and it came to me in a new version of our sport, in a new genre of motorcycle, in a new category of motorcycle. I started to see that all my racing idols in America and across the world had these hotted up kids' bikes that I'd ride for fun with their mates. And I saw this as an opportunity to build a motorcycle that could make motorcycling more accessible, more affordable, so more families could experience what I experienced growing up with motorcycling. Then I realised this was 10 years ago. Then I found out that in America they were about to have a world championship for this type of motorcycle. In Las Vegas, on the Las Vegas Boulevard, with 15,000 fans, $50,000 prize money, and all my racing idols were turning up to race. I got so pumped on the sport. And I thought, I need to find a motorcycle that we could build that is ready to roll off the showroom floor, that's affordable, accessible, and could compete with these American bikes. You know, I found a manufacturing plant who promised me that they could do that, a Chinese manufacturing plant. And, you know, I sent all the money that I'd spent the last 4 years, 5 years saving up to the other side of the world, to a factory that I still can't pronounce the name of, and waited for these bikes to turn up. And the day those first 10 bikes turned up in my shed is still, to this day, the toughest day I've ever had in business, because the first 10 bikes that turned up were nothing like the 10 bikes that I ordered. They were nowhere near strong enough to hold up to the punishment we had planned for them. They were only good enough for us to sell to first-time kid riders. And by the time I built websites, trade shows, taught people how to ride, I'd lost a year. And I'd certainly lost my money. But you know, I hadn't lost my vision. And I believe that vision overcomes challenge. I decided if I'm going to make this happen, if we're going to build a motorcycle that could make our sport more accessible and more affordable, we need to get to China and find a manufacturing plant who does believe in my vision. And I was about to turn 18, so I thought, I'm going to save up the money and get my butt on a plane as soon as I turn 18. And I arrived in China so naive. I'd never been outside of Australia, ever. I'd never been outside of Tasmania without my family, and I sure as hell couldn't speak Chinese. And I arrived there and found an interpreter, and our job was to go around and find as many motorcycle manufacturing plants as we could find for me to share my vision. And I'd walk into, I remember the first factory I walked into. It felt like his desk was as big as the stage here. And I walk in to share my vision with the owner of this factory. And he laughed me out of his office because this manufacturing plant wasn't willing to take a risk on an 18-year-old kid who had no money, an 18-year-old kid who had no engineering experience, no distribution channel. You know, I was so naive, I had no idea how much it costs to manufacture a motorcycle. I got laughed out of the second manufacturing plant, the third manufacturing plant. Now by this time I'm starting to think and question my approach. And you know, I could have come home after 3 manufacturing plants laughed me out of their office. People would have understood. I could have come home after the 4th, the 5th, the 6th manufacturing plant laughed me out of their office. People would not only have understood, they probably would have congratulated me. Because I tried my best. I gave it everything I had. But I believe that trying your best is a restriction on doing whatever it takes. Persistence is the difference between giving it a go, giving it everything you got, and actually making it happen. Persistence is the difference between trying your best and getting a result. And in those 800 motorcycle manufacturing plants in China who had the tooling that I needed to manufacture a motorcycle. And I wasn't going home until 801 of those people had laughed me out of their office. I got laughed out of 50 motorcycle manufacturing plants before I changed my approach and eventually found and struck a deal with a plant who did believe in my vision. A plant who did believe that I could add some value to who they were. And I'm stoked to tell you that we still work with that same manufacturing plant today. And we work with manufacturing partners from all over the world. Japanese engine, French frame, Canadian shock, all over the world. I'm stoked to tell you that we just became what we believe, we have now what we believe is the best motorcycle of this type in the world. Only dirt bike with lifetime warranty, and we won the world's biggest race for our sport. You know, if there's anything I've learned about growth, it is that all growth lives outside our comfort zone. Our ability to step outside our comfort zone and try something new is directly proportional to our ability to grow. Starting a new course, graduating, that stuff is stepping outside your comfort zone. The more we step outside our comfort zone, the more likely we are to succeed. People come to me and say it's different for me though. I'm lucky because I get to do something I'm passionate about. I get to do something I love. But those people don't realise that my passion is to ride dirt bikes. I don't get to ride a dirt bike every day. I've ridden my dirt bike 20 hours so far this year. I'm not passionate about most of the day-to-day tasks I do, and you may not be either. I'm not passionate about most of the things I do, but I'm passionate about how I do them. Passion doesn't come from a task. Passion doesn't come from an activity. Passion is an attitude. Passion is energy. Passion is a decision. Passion is a standard you hold yourself to while you do something, while you go about your business. I believe that we are the most privileged generation in history. We drive on roads we didn't build. We call people on phones we didn't invent. We use the internet that we can't see. No other generation in history has been able to go to a movie that someone spent $100 million producing and they pay $15 to watch it. No other generation in history, no other time in history, have you been able to take a standard week's wage and fly to the other side of the world. We are the most privileged generation in history. We're no longer restricted by opportunity. We're no longer restricted by connectivity. We're no longer restricted by education. We're only restricted by our ability to think, our ability to have a vision of who we want to be, our ability to know what we want to become. My belief is that vision, the vision we hold for who we want to be, is the most powerful tool we can apply to ourselves. In my life, my vision was to build a motorcycle store that made a difference, a retail concept that made impact. I wanted to use my passion for motorcycles to get young people involved in activity through action sports and get a clean adrenaline rush through activity rather than from drugs, crime and violence. If we were going to do that, we needed to build a store that was in control of how the motorcycle was delivered to a customer, the retail experience. When I was 19, I had this vision and I needed to go and lease a building. I needed to raise the capital. 12 banks said no to me before they lent me the money. And I remember the day I got the keys to that first retail concept store. And it's an exciting day. I got the keys, we can get started. The building's about as big as this hall. It's an old warehouse in the city. And I remember sitting inside this building, starting to think about all the things we were going to do. And my phone started to ring. That day I got a call from every single one of the suppliers of accessories in the motorcycle industry. They said they weren't willing to support me. They couldn't supply me with parts because a man around the corner had 5 motorcycle stores and he said that if you support the kid, I'm going to pull my accounts. I'm not going to buy anything. So I had nothing to sell. And I remember sitting there panicking and thinking, how am I going to build a business that's going to cover these overheads that I've just created? And I learned that vision overcomes challenge. And I'm a huge believer in the power of documenting that vision, writing a vision down and reading it every single day. I took out my pen and paper and wrote down exactly how I wanted that store to be. And I realised that if I was going to build a store that was significant enough for these suppliers to support me, I needed to build a business that turned over $1 million in its first year. I wrote that goal down, I wrote that vision down on a bit of paper. I had it underneath my pillow on my bed. I had it on the back of the toilet door. I had it laminated in the shower. Every morning I would read that and visualise the person I needed to grow into to achieve that goal and make that happen. I remember taking my vision to my accountant and him telling me, Brad, do you realise that 97% of businesses in Australia never reach the point where they turn over $1 million? And you want to do it in your first year in Launceston, Tasmania as a 19-year-old? I said, yes, I do. Vision overcomes challenge. At the end of the year, I took my reports back, my financials back to the accountant. And he handed back the reports and he said, Brad, congratulations, $1,001,000. Vision overcomes challenge. You know, my dream as a young person was to build a bike that made the sport accessible, and after 9 years of persistence, making things happen, pushing through, getting educated, getting prepared to pounce on opportunity, we lined up in Las Vegas just last weekend, a few days ago. And we became the first production bike on the planet to win back-to-back world championships. You know, I appreciate you guys listening to me today, and I want to congratulate the graduates who have done a great job over the last year and past years to prepare themselves for opportunity. And I encourage you to document your vision for the next stage of your growth phase. Document the person you want to become. Who are you going to represent? What type of person are you going to be? Where are you going? But thanks for having me, and I appreciate it. Congratulations.